Rangers lead the way, gentlemen. My name is Zach Allred. I'm the host of the Danger Ranger podcast here on YouTube. And today I'm going to be doing a little discussion and talking about the average day in the life as a ranger. Now, I'm going to preface this with saying this is, based on my experiences and my buddy's experiences and my 6 years in. So it's pretty much anecdotal. However, that being said, I'm going to do my best to give it accurate, kind of telling of how life is and across the battalion. So each battalion is going to be different. Each company is going to be different. Each platoon is going to be different. So there's not really a set, like this is exactly what happens. I'm going to do my best to give it broad brush strokes of it and kind of, shed a little bit more light on exactly what it looks like from the perspective of a lower enlisted ranger. So to start, you've got 3 different kinds of weeks. You have your prep week, you have your training week, and you have your recovery week. So we'll start with your prep week. Your prep week is when you're going to be preparing, as implied in the name prep week, for your training week. So your training week generally is going to follow your prep week. Super simple. So during your prep week, you're going to be showing up. You're going to have generally a 6 o'clock work call, 6 a.m. For Ranger privates, they're going to be showing up probably 30 minutes prior to that 6 o'clock work call or whatever work call time it is. And you're going to be cleaning the cough and cleaning cages. Cages are like almost like little locker rooms for your squad. The cough is your company operating facility. It's the larger building. It's like a warehouse style building where all of your gear is going to be stored during the week, and that's where you're going to do your classes. You're going to be, working out of that most of the days. And that's where you kind of stage out of to go to ranges and to deploy in. So 0-6 roll around, you may or may not have a formation that is very much platoon and company dependent. Some companies love doing morning formations, and other ones you'll do one a week, on Monday morning to make sure everyone's alive and not super hungover. And then you're going to conduct PT generally after your squad leader kind of gives you an idea of what tasks are going to be needed to complete for that day. So there might be like, hey, we got a detail, we got to send, these 2 privates to go out and fill sandbags to build this range, or hey, we got to make sure our Humvee is ready to go for this, for this next week. We got to make sure there's gas cans and the usual stuff that you have on a Humvee. So gas cans, water cans, case of MREs, markings if it's going to be used in actual live fire, making sure that they're signed out from the motor pool. Stuff like that. So I could go ad nauseum the examples of stuff that you'll be doing during the day, but generally you're going to be working pretty hard during these prep days. You'll also be conducting rehearsals for what kind of live fire you're doing or whatever kind of training you're doing the next week. For example, if you have a shoot house coming up the next week, you're going to be running through glass houses, which is a term it's just basically tape laid out on the ground in the shape of a room. And you're going to be running through those, potentially going out to other buildings on base. You're not going to be going super far anywhere. For us at 175, we had a shoot house that was on post. It was about 20 minutes, 10 minutes away realistically from the compound. So sometimes you'll run out there in the morning and flow through with your squad. So you're going to be conducting actions and training that's going to help set you up for success for the next week. Or if you have like a squad live fire, for example, you're going to be out in the fields around the battalion footprint, and you're going to be, doing bounding drills and like kind of rehearsing key calls and making sure everyone knows kind of generally like the order of the movement for whatever kind of live fire you're going to be doing. Whether that's like platoon live fire, you'll do whole platoon size rehearsals. Squad live fire, obviously, you're going to be doing squad level rehearsals. And that training is going to, take up a lot of your time throughout the day, and you're going to be getting off work 5-6 o'clock. So it's a pretty long day. Training or prep weeks are my least favorite kind of weeks, or were my least favorite kind of weeks, just because of that fact. Like you're going to be busy doing like a bunch of little stuff and getting ready, making sure everything is squared away before you go out to the next week of, the next week, which is a training week. So training weeks, you might not be going to work super early because you might be doing night training. A lot of the times you'll be doing night training. So you will be required to come to work at like, maybe 11 o'clock, sometimes noon, sometimes, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And you're going to get all your gear ready to go, or, just, have it ready to go. You're going to sign guns out from the arms room, and you're going to drive out to whatever range you're going to be conducting the training on. if it's like a regular kind of training week, which is like local training. For off-post training, the timeline is going to be completely different, and that's beyond the scope of this video, and that's not something that you really need to worry about. You're going to be going out to the range, you're going to be doing some kind of day shooting or day iterations. So for like squad live fire, you'll do squad blank, and you'll do blank run through with just your BFAs, your blank firing adapters on your weapons, and then you'll do your day live. You might do more iterations than those two, depending on how well your squad does, and sometimes you might just get the extra reps in because you've got the time and the ammo for it. And then you'll do the night portion of the training. So that's when you're going to do your night blank and then your night live. And depending on how those go, your night might be over pretty quick, or you might be like, for example, for a shoot house, like you might run multiple iterations. So you'll do your night blank and then you'll do maybe 2 or 3 night lives. Again, just depending on how much time is available and how well everyone's doing. It's generally good training. Like I don't think there's any kind of training event that I've been to that was like, oh, this is a complete waste of time. Like there's always something that you're going to be learning. You'll be getting off around 1, 2, 3 in the morning on those days, and sometimes you'll be staying out on a range, like camping out. Sometimes it's like camping with your boys. Like sometimes you're allowed to bring out little grills and you're allowed to grill your own food, and then sometimes your company commander might not like that and tell you all to just suck it up and eat MREs or the food that they bring out from the chow hall. I quite enjoyed training weeks. That was the time that I got to shoot my guns and do some cool stuff. So lastly, you got your recovery weeks, which is post training week, and this is when you're going to be coming in. You're going to be coming in maybe around 9 o'clock, depending. Sometimes you'll still have to come in at 06, but generally you're going to get allowed the chance to come in at later time, and it's going to be a little bit more chill. You're going to be expected to conduct PT sometimes after you come in. So 09, hey, 09, come in, do PT, and then you'll knock out whatever kind of recovery tasks you got to do that day. So that's generally like cleaning weapons, cleaning vehicles if they got super used. You'll clean out trash from them. You'll make sure they get turned into the motor pool. You might get assigned to like range cleanup details, so you'll go out and make sure that there's all the brass is policed up, any kind of structures that were built or torn down. And then you're going to be working on like admin tasks, so making sure that your medical stuff is up to date, making sure that if you're like a team leader, your counselings are good, and then you're going to be doing like kind of like just super informal classes on the squad whiteboard. Or with like the squad medic, or not squad medic, the platoon medic. He might be running, a couple little RFR lanes. This is more like hip pocket training, and generally your days aren't going to go longer than like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Again, dependent upon exactly what kind of tasks they're needing to get done. A lot of platoon sergeants and a lot of companies are very good about like, hey, we're not going to keep you guys on a recovery week past a certain time, because we understand like you just spent the entire last week or maybe the last 2 weeks staying up till 2 a.m. and not really seeing or spending time with your family because of the training week. So they generally try and get you out of there at a reasonable amount of time, especially if there's nothing going on, and especially if you've completed all the tasks for the day. I'm going to speak to the Ranger privates real quick because I feel like that's the type of person who's going to be asking the question most often about day-to-day life in a Ranger regiment. So you're going to be showing up early. You're going to be cleaning and doing some menial tasks in your mind. But what it teaches you is it teaches you respect for the culture and the history of what you're being brought up in. The COFs, or the company operating facilities, are all, they all carry their own unique history and heritage. And that's kind of why you get put in charge of cleaning it, is you learn to respect the halls that actual, heroes have walked. At least that's what I think when I was a private. I was like, hey, like, I don't like doing this, but like, I get it. Like, I'm being taught to have respect for this place. So take that for what it is. You are going to be doing hard PT every morning. If you're not, then you need to tell maybe don't tell your team leader, it's too easy, but you need to be doing hard PT every morning. Your squad leader and your team leader are going to make sure that happens. So don't worry about it. Just prepare for it. The stuff you do in RASP is not as hard as the stuff that you'll do out on the line. Like, for example, I remember some of the more memorable mornings at PT when I was a private was our platoon. It was a platoon level event too. Is we'd walk around the airfield for a little bit, and then we'd have the weapon squad guys be op 4 on the wood line, and we'd do like miniature movement to contacts, and we'd go and we'd take out the guys in the wood line, whatever, and then we'd move on and we'd hit, our shoot house, and then at the shoot house we'd do like some kind of PT event with logs, and then it'd be a mad dash back to the cough. For us, it was like a 3-mile run after you'd been walking around all morning. But as a private, like you can't not perform during that. Like if you fall out, it's gonna look bad on you. So you just gotta suck it up and do it. They're quite enjoyable after looking back on the fact. But I digress. Hopefully this wasn't just all rambling, and hopefully I was able to answer some of your questions. If you've got more specific questions, please let me know. I will be happy to answer them in the comments or shoot an entire video on a specific element. But I didn't want to make this too long. I wanted to make this kind of short and snappy and to the point and give a broad overview of what your life looks like inside a regiment. So I can't really, it's hard for me to just come out and say like everything, because there's a lot of stuff that I can't talk about and I don't feel like talking about, because some of it's the mystery of showing up. Like you don't know exactly what you're getting into. As long as you come prepared to work, and as long as you come prepared, to give it your all, like you'll be fine, and you don't really need to worry about it. So yeah, like the video, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm gonna have more videos like this coming out in the short-term future. And as always, have a good one.